Very good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are catching us from. Welcome to Acfim Talks today, Friday. It's a good Friday, and it's good to have you on the show. Today we discuss very interesting topic that is relevant to the times. It's been in the press for over a week. The politics of coffee trade in Uganda. Who are the winners? Who are the losers? Before we start, I am encouraging everybody to be part of this discussion, this conversation on our social media platforms. We are live on Facebook. Also, we are live on our Twitter handle. You can also catch us live on YouTube. You can subscribe to our YouTube, Acfim, and you'll be able to get the notifications and not miss any of this interesting conversation on Acfim Talks. My name is Felix Kafuma, who is going to be moderating today's show. And I'll be joined by two doctors. One is Dr. Abed Bwanika, and also I'll be having with me Dr. Ezra Munyambonera. I'll be introducing them in a short while, but before we start, allow me to lay the case of the discussion and also provide a bit of a background context against which we are having this conversation. For anybody who's just hearing this for the first time, probably you've just come to Uganda, you should have been seeing a lot of media coverage on a controversial coffee deal that was awarded to Uganda Vinci Coffee Company Limited. We all know that government, I think around in February, government of Uganda awarded a multi-billion coffee concession deal to Uganda Vinci Coffee Company Limited, a company led by the Italian businesswoman Enrica Pinetti. And Enrica Pinetti is not new to controversy in Uganda's politics. You remember, is the same woman behind the controversial Wowa International Specialized Hospital, which has stalled for 2 years ever since she was awarded that contract. But specific to this coffee concession deal, Pinetti, under the Uganda Vinci Coffee Company Limited, has been awarded a 10-year deal that expires in 2032, and this deal excludes the company from any form of taxation. And our generous government has further allocated land, I think in the Kampala Industrial Business Park, Namave, for the company to construct construct a coffee processing plant, on top of the company being awarded a tax holiday that is exempt from paying all taxes that apply. On top of that, the company is also going to enjoy special electricity tariffs, I think 5%. Government is also going to help it construct for it infrastructure like water and roads, but of most interest to the discussion is the fact that the company is going to enjoy a monopoly status concerning coffee trade and export in Uganda. Now, remember, this comes at the backdrop when Uganda withdrew from the International Organization of Coffee Exporters, and in there are a lot of questions that raise whether this was a premeditated move. In all ways, the deal reeks controversy, and to many, it is a deal that has been referred to as fraudulent and shady. This and much more is going to be the focus of our discussion today on Acfim Talks, as we take the exegesis of the politics of coffee trade in Uganda. Who are the losers and who are the winners? My name again is Felix Kafuma, and joined with me, I'll be having Dr. Abed Bwanika. I hope he's on call. And also I'll be having Dr. Ezra Munyambonera, who is a coffee development consultant. But I hope they are on call and so that we can get this discussion started. But I can introduce them in the meantime as they get on set. Dr. Abed Bwanika is the current Member of Parliament for Chimanya, Kawenera, Masaka City. He's also the Shadow Minister for our for Ministry of Agriculture, and is also a member of the Agriculture Committee at Parliament. You remember very well that Dr. Abed Bwanika ran, I think 3 times. You come and correct the facts. I think there are 3 times he has stood as an independent candidate for the presidential race, and I think in 2006, 2 times, 2006 and 2011, he stood also stood on People's Development Party, which is also a founder. He's also a beneficiary of coffee farming, because I think it comes from a place in Masaka which grows a lot of coffee. I think the place is also named, I think it's called Chimwanyi. You will come and tell me, which grows a lot of coffee. So when we talk about coffee, Dr. Abed Bwanika, you are touching something that is very dear to him. No wonder he's the MP who brought this issue to Parliament, tabled before Parliament, and since then there have been discussions around it. He's also he's a doctor in the sense that he holds a bachelor's in veterinary medicine at Makerere University, and also a master's of science degree in the same field from Makerere University. When he gets on set, we will be able to welcome him. I hope he's on call. Then also our other panelist is Ezra Munyambonera, who is also a doctor. This one is an academician, but with a lot of experience. He worked. I think I first heard about Doctor when he worked at the Uganda Coffee Development Authority as a socio-economist for over 18 years. Between 1996 and 2011, he has worked with the Economic Policy Research Center as a senior research fellow in macroeconomics. Yeah, we'll be discussing the implications of this to our economy, especially the tax, the fact that the company is not going to be subjected to any form of taxes, yet it is engaging in an area that ideally should attract some form of taxation for the benefit of the country. But he's also currently the senior lecturer of economics at Kabale Public University, and is also an independent economic development consultant. Dr. Ezra was on call before we started. I hope I can have him join and we get this conversation started. But as my panelists settle in, once again, I encourage you to be part of this conversation. You can subscribe to our social media platforms. We are live on YouTube, Acfim, or also live on Facebook, Acfim, and also Twitter, so you can be able to catch this conversation and be part of it. And as I continue to wait for our panelists to be part of this discussion as well, you can send in your questions in the second part of the show. We'll be able to respond to some of them as we understand the exegesis of this whole idea of the deal behind that gives the multi-billion coffee concession deal that gives Uganda Vinci Coffee Company Limited monopoly rights to trade in coffee or to even export coffee, and what are the implications of this, especially to the farmers, to the industry. I was watching the news in the sidelines, and I saw I think it's Nandala Mafadi, Honorable, who is considering to take a legal suit to sue government over this deal. But I've also seen the Minister, Ramadan Gobi, come out to defend the deal, and for them, they are looking at the numbers that's going to increase our tonnage to 60,000 tons. In terms of export, and it's also going to create jobs, over 250 jobs expected to be created out of this deal. But remember, it's the same lady, Pinetti, who was awarded the deal for the Lubowa Specialized Hospital, which until now it's yet to really take form and shape. They were communicating new dates for completion yesterday. But that does not mean that we need to get concerned, because if it's the same person or the same party that was awarded the construction of the specialized hospital at Lubowa, which until now we see nothing yet. But again, is awarded another multi-billion coffee concession deal that raises a lot of questions and concerns for any Ugandan there. And some people are wondering, should we double click? Who is Erika Pinetti? Is there someone behind Erika Pinetti? Is this the work of a mafia? Is she being fronted? And those are genuine questions from any Ugandan out there who looks at this, how this entire process has been handled, and the fact that many were caught off guard, especially concerning this deal, because I think most people came to know about it when they saw it in social media. The Minister of Agriculture, Honorable Frank Mwebaze, didn't know about it as well. Probably was among the many Ugandans who were caught off guard. Yet, that's the parent ministry. When we're discussing coffee production, agriculture is the parent ministry. I don't know whether the Attorney General was aware about it as well. So you see that this was a deal mainly between the Minister of Finance, representing Uganda, and Erika Pinetti, the lady who represented the company, Uganda Vish Coffee Company. So I think it's justifiable for anybody out there to be very concerned, the shadiness around this deal and what is it. There are many unanswered questions concerning or shrouding the way this deal was arrived at, and also the generosity of Ugandan government in terms of the many things this company is going to enjoy in terms of taxation. It's not going to be taxed. All forms of taxes, by the way, it's not going to be subject to taxation. But it's also getting land. It's also getting it's enjoying monopoly rights. On top of that, it's going to enjoy special tariffs, electricity tariffs, and it's also enjoying government is to provide infrastructure in terms of roads and water. I mean, this is too good to be true for a company like this that has been given such a sumptuous deal. This and much more is going to inform our discussion today. And like I said, with me, I'll be having very shortly Dr. Abed Bwanika, who is the MP for Munyambonera, but also I'll be having with me Dr. Ezra Munyambonera, who is also who worked with UCDA, the Uganda Coffee Development Authority, for 18 years to weigh in on this matter and help Ugandans understand who are the winners, who are the losers, what are the implications, what is the politics, why now, especially when Uganda withdrew from ICO, was this premeditated? Who is behind this deal, and can it be contested legally? Remember, this is a 10-year concession deal, so for the next 10 years, coffee trade in Uganda is going to be controlled by one entity, that company. But also, why coffee? Some I've been following on the sidelines. Some people are saying, why not also? What was the problem that government was trying to address? Why not other areas of production? Why not milk and dairy products? Why not also not subject that to a monopoly status? But why coffee? So there are very genuine concerns here, and it's important that we get to the bottom of it. But also, why monopoly status? Because first of all, we embraced liberalism and capitalism, where when factors of demand and supply are open to competition, but why now is Uganda taking a U-turn and encouraging a monopoly status in such an environment that is liberal, that allows the forces of demand and supply to be at play here? So and where else have we seen monopoly really improve the economy? So I think these are really genuine concerns that we should get to the bottom of. My name is Felix Kafuma, but I'm still waiting for our panelists to get on call and we do justice to this discussion. It's also important that you need to understand, I think, as I provide more information on this, is that coffee is the second largest export earner after gold for Uganda. So you can understand why there've been a lot of voices coming in after they got to know about this deal. The way, how do you get the second export earner for the country and hand it over to one entity? What are we risking here to lose as a country? So that is also quite important. But also, why? What does that mean? What's the implication when, first of all, we're talking about expanding our tax base, and then you exempt this company from all forms of taxation? Yes, probably they would have picked some of the taxation proposals and but not necessarily exempt the company from all forms of taxation. What does this mean in especially when we are trying to expand and grow our tax base? I think that would also be very important to discuss if any of our panelists gets on set. But also for those of you who are hearing about Pinit for the first time, if you double click, she has been doing a number of businesses across Africa. So she's not new to the continent. I think she has had a stint in Angola at some point, in Libya, did some stint there. But even in those countries where she was, there have been questionable transactions of Pineti and the company. I was looking at some of the links, but also I was looking at some of the press because I was trying to understand who is Pineti in 2016. 2016 general elections. It is in one of the media houses. I mean, in the dailies, there is a report that alludes to the same lady bankrolling the NRM, National Resistance Movement Party. Some, I think, during campaigns, she did bankroll their campaigns. So, and so if you add the maths, 2016 and around 2019, the deal for Luoa Specialized Hospital comes through, and now later on we're also seeing the monopoly deal. So some people are trying to connect the dots. Could this be one of the quid pro quo arrangements where she's crushed at the back of the party, and now the party has to scratch back by rewarding her with such a very generous deal? Already have Dr. Ezra online. Doctor, you are welcome. Can you slightly adjust your screen so that I can have? There's a lot of headroom. Can you slightly? No, the headroom is. I think it's your laptop. I think it's your laptop. Tilt it forward so that we can have your face centered in the screen. I'm only seeing part of your face. If it's a laptop, that's much better. That's much better. Okay, Doctor, unmute. Good morning. It's good to have you on set.
Yeah, morning to you.
Okay, okay, Doctor. Yeah, that's better, and it's good to have you. I think let's straight away dive into the set of questions. I was waiting for you, and in the meantime, I was able to introduce you. So once again, for those of you who are just joining us, this is Dr. Ezra, who is a panelist today, who is a coffee policy and development consultant, who has done a lot of work with the Uganda Coffee Development Authority. He's also currently the senior lecturer at Kabarai Public University. Doctor, you're much welcome. Thank you for being part of this discussion. And straight away, let me throw you in the deep end. My first question is, I'm sure you've been following the discussions around this controversial multi-billion coffee concession deal to Uganda Venture Coffee Company Limited. First of all, what are your thoughts? What's your take especially government's decision to monopolize, I would use the word monopolize, coffee trade in Uganda?
Yeah, thank you, moderator. First of all, I appreciate to be part of this discussion. And being an economist, I'll be careful to go out my context, the way I understand the coffee politics. One, this investment is not controversial as people think. No, incentivizing investors has been a policy in Uganda government over the years to attract both foreign and domestic investors. And this investment package, incentive package, is not only taxes. We are talking about tax incentives, tax holidays, infrastructure support, and all of that. And it's not new for Uganda. It's in most of developing countries. That's the policy for government. So the major question that one, before we read the documents which were signed, which are still private to government, you may not ask what is there. But quickly, I have been following the discussion, the newspapers, and all that, and they have not told on the details myself. However, I would dwell much on what briefly the permanent secretary actually explained, that everything was done in the laws of Uganda about investment. There are laws that govern this, incentivizing investors. And two, the issue of monopoly, as he said, is also not true, because we are talking about close to 400,000 metric tons of coffee, and we are talking about mere 60,000. The only issue is a monopoly can happen when somebody can buy all of this Uganda coffee and export it and all that. The fact that this new investor has found other investors who started with the coffee during liberalization, where there are people, these guys came in when they had money, foreign exporters. So we have about 27 exporters in Uganda, but of those, we have big exporters who are agencies of trade houses like Cafe, like Kauko. So when you talk about the monopoly, already they are competitors on the ground. Now, the only issue would come from targeting the highest grades of screen 18 and 17. And normally, globally, it's known that sort of coffee is produced from low-grade beans, the inferiors, screen 12 and ungraded. So the targeting screen 18 for that may be impossible, because also the exporters themselves bench on that to give them their value in the export market. So I think that the way it is packaged, we can't do much on it. It's not new, and the monopoly cannot operate because they're already competing on the ground. And I think this type of agreement, also investment analysis, I would think that the investor got in touch with Uganda Coffee Development Authority. They have experts in the quality department. So it's a well-solid institution with professionals. I think that they would have guided well. So before I look at the document, I would think that the issue of monopoly, I think, is a misconception by politics or by press. So I think that one we must have a clarity, and sometimes these documents might not see them. So the policy in NDP3 program 1 is agro-industrialization. So it is in line with government policy to promote agro-industrialization. That's very addition. It's not only coffee. We are talking about a whole agriculture sector, linking industry, agriculture to industry. I think it's consistent with all government programs and the policy on investment.
Yes, Doctor. I understand that it's within the policy of government to incentivize investors, but in this case, I think the concern here is the how far you go to incentivize because you are exempting the investor from all forms of taxes. Yet, and on top of that, you are providing land to construct a plant. Of course, that is okay. But you are providing special tariffs for electricity. You are also providing infrastructure. Isn't this too much?
No,
of incentivizing?
When you look at the investment strategy for the country, you need to unearth what is in there. You see, this is not outside the government policy on that. Okay, this is not the first person to come. In the last 20 years, we have seen a lot of foreign direct investment coming in different forms. But on the government side, it has to incentivize, because we don't have the capital, for example, the capital to invest. So the only thing government has to do is supply this one, support the investors to come and put in their money. They will create employment, and they will create capacity for both domestic and export market. So the realism is, if these were actually actualizing, so have seen sometimes investors come with different motives, and they are given those incentives. But you have seen people recently, Uganda Investment Authority, trying to get, to cancel agreements, whatever. So if the investor is coming with a feasible objective that is aiming at value adding Uganda coffee to soluble coffee, and this coffee has a market, of course the country in a medium term and longer term will benefit, and the benefits will be spread across the whole value chain up to the farmers.
Okay. Dr. Still on that line of thought, because again, because for me, I'm echoing the concerns of Ugandans. We are talking about a company that has not shown any history in coffee trade and export. This company, but we also talk about the same company that I think is behind the Lubowa International Specialist Hospital, which has stalled for 2 years. Of course, there have been voices coming out to explain the stalling, but we are in the grand scheme of things. You are talking about a company where people are already questioning its capacity. So, and it's the same company that is being given the multi-billion coffee concession deal. Shouldn't Ugandans get concerned, especially given that you are dealing with the second export earner of the country?
Moderator, in any market, there is always speculation, driven by politicians, driven by sentiments. Now, I clearly heard the PS again. Once again, I'm not supporting him. About the Lubowa, the reasons he gave were clear, and he assured the Ugandans that come 2024, this hospital will be up. And the terms of reference and whatever are very clear, that this investor in Lubowa will only collect money from Ugandans for only 7 years. The rest, he'll hand it over to government. Isn't that a plus? The problem may be coming in implementation and management of that infrastructure, that project, after the investor has left away from Uganda. One thing the investor has to put in place, of course, is expertise, is infrastructure, and Uganda is be ready to train experts, because especially the hospital will not depend on this local, we don't depend on non-professionals. So I think that is the new good policy direction. Another thing in terms of development, sometimes Ugandans are impatient. You can't expect, something can happen, delays can happen, but explanation is the parliament must be understand what is happening, the dynamics. That's why you have got the parliament, have got the cabinet and technocrats. I think it's about trying to be realistic in terms of this thinking without speculation, and that is very, very dangerous.
Okay. Thank you so much, Doctor. The issue around remember, I want to link this multi-billion coffee concession deal to Uganda's withdrawal from ICO, the International Organization of Coffee Exporters. Is there in a way a relationship? Because there have been also, again, people trying to probably look at this as a premeditated move that justified why now Uganda should get out of this ICO and then provide room for this kind of deal. That is one question, but the part B of the question is also, which I want you to help us with here, is with this kind of arrangement, aren't you basically stifling out competition by other exporters?
as I said, there is no way the exporters here are family because the interest is to maximize exporting Uganda coffee. The Vulca phase, their agents are here. They are the first ones who came after liberalization, 1994, 91-4. They have even infrastructure here, export grading facilities. They know where they maximize their profits is outside. And they anchor most in terms of green beans because our coffee, Uganda coffee, is used as a blend in Europe, in Europe and other countries. So if Uganda coffee is a premium robusta, so they normally anchor on that one to maximize their profits after blending and packaging for export. It happens in New York and London. Now, this investor, probably there is a misinterpretation that high-grade coffees are not good for instant coffee, soluble coffee. Of course, the low-grade coffees are here. The screened core of the downgraded. Those are the inputs for soluble coffee, and the investor can get a substantive amount, and it's a matter of dealing with the processors. We also may be signing contracts with farmers. But what comes out export grading and export is Kafifi. That's the one for soluble coffee. I think there is a misinterpretation that the monopoly will be on high grade. It is impossible. It can't happen. I am working on that one. So globally, soluble coffee is produced for Kafifi, low grade coffees, and that's it. So that high grade coffee is something which has high quality value cap. And the European, these people who trade houses, who package coffee, want this. You remember that in the whole world, the Robusta coffee is 20%. It's generally used as a blend. Arabica is the highest. So this coffee or Uganda coffee will always enter the European market. And one investor cannot take all that. We are talking about 7 million bags. So to me, I'm saying that depending on the objectives and all that, but to me, the raw grade coffee is available and the investor will get enough material he wants or whatever. What would happen is market penetration again. Market penetrating of the Easter coffee from Uganda, from where to this is a problem because these guys are cartel. They might impose prohibitive conditions unless the investor has got his or her own market niches. So there are issues of fundamentals that happen internationally that may deter this coffee to enter those markets. What would happen is domestically consumption is very low and regionally. So if there is no market in the region, the target and all that, those will be the complications. So there is thing about investment, yes, but there is also thing about the market dynamics. Those are issues that will come. That's on the investor side, but the government will have done its role.
Okay, that is we are still listening to Acfim Doctor. That is the Dr. Ezra Munyambonera, who is a coffee policy and involvement consultant. My other question to you, Doctor.
Hold on. The other question now we're talking about this has nothing to do with Uganda withdrawing from International Coffee Organization.
Okay, yes.
And I would believe that from a policy angle, Uganda has not drawn completely. They might have got their issues with International Coffee Organization, the way probably they implement their programs, the way they react. So one of the issues.
Doctor, did I lose you? I think I've temporarily lost Doctor. Probably network issue. Was trying to explain whether there is a relationship between this deal and Uganda's withdrawal from ICO, that is the International Organization of Coffee Exporters, because there have been arguments that probably this was a premeditated move. Yes, Doctor, you're back online.
So now, when you hear about International Coffee Organization, it's an association, it's an intergovernmental organization that links producers, consumers, for transparency in terms of trading and all that. ICO was formed in 1963 after the International Coffee Agreement, 1962. So ICO is like a platform. It has a secretariat with professionals who provide the market signals and the research since 1963 up to today. So they have operating international coffee agreements. They has got investment arms like Common Fund for Commodities. Now, it has been changing. See, after 1989, before the coffee was traded as a quotas where the market and the volume were regulated. After that, the ICO's role completely focused on research, statistics. It focused on providing platform for private sector, public, in the coffee sector, global-wise. It is also adds what called development financing, supporting development and financing of projects and public-private partnerships. So the new focus of ICO through International Coffee Agreement since 2007 is to focus more on promoting sustainable coffee production for all countries in the whole world. Probably there must be some issues with UCDA, which I think they have to first analyze before complete withdraw. Now, there is going to be a new agreement where all countries have signed, apart from Uganda, 99, and which is going to start on 2nd February 2022. And this will be revolving after every 5 years, but to be for the benefit of all producing and consuming countries. The ICO does not control trade, regulated trade. It will be a focus on that one. They have a new approach of partnering with World Bank, with financial institutions to mobilize resources that can benefit all producing countries, especially.
Oh no, Doctor seems to be having a challenge with the connection. Okay, Doctor was trying to lay case that this has nothing to do with ICO, and drawing a distinction of what ICO does, and the underlying currents of probably what would have informed the withdrawal of Uganda from ICO. Okay, Doctor is back.
Yeah, to me, the major issue that the release I've been reading around it, the release by the ISO Secretariat is very clear that their new strategy has completely changed. And well, I don't want to talk much about it, but their press release is very clear that Uganda should be able to produce, I mean, to report, to indicate its constraints. And they said the new reforms have completely addressed all UCDA issues. Uganda issues, not UCDA. Uganda as a country, there are issues which were clearly stated, and the response by the executive director of International Coffee Organization is very, very clear that Uganda should be able to present its challenges, whatever. So I think that is easy, and Uganda cannot completely withdraw because this is a platform for all producers and consumers, and Uganda is a beneficiary. And two, the certificate origin of IC certificate, Uganda cannot now, if we say Uganda moves away from not being known, we cannot say Uganda coffee can be certified by Uganda Chamber of Commerce. It's international image, you know. So the coffee fraternity globally is bigger than Uganda, and Uganda is a smaller in terms of smaller producer, and Africa as a whole. We have the African Coffee Organization, which is trying to put together all African countries to go back to the original production, so that the Africa becomes relevant to the coffee industry in the whole world. So those are issues that cannot be addressed without having an aggregation or maybe a partnership. That's why I'm moving to East African community. That's why you cannot withdraw from UN. It's about discussion. And I think that those discussions, as ISO indicates, are open and they are ready to work with every producing country and consumers, so that there is what we call transparency in the programs, in projects. They are trying to make sure that are implemented across the whole world. The major interest is increasing volumes, increasing quality, and the fairness to farmers, especially who are the producers.
Okay. There you have it. That's Dr. Ezra Munyambonera. Now, there's an issue concerning. I was listening to. I think that's the Honorable Frank Mweba, the current finance minister. He was not privy to the contract. Apparently, it's the Minister of Finance and that signed on behalf of government. But also, I'm yet to confirm whether the Attorney General was really in the thick and thin of it. Although in the communication, the Minister of Finance said Attorney General was part of it. But you don't seem to see, for example, it's a bit of an anomaly for the mother ministry not to be privy to the developments and the discussions that lead to the signing of such an agreement. Doesn't that raise a concern of Is there something much more we are missing than meets the eye?
No, if we may not know that coffee does not belong to one industry, to one ministry. You know, coffee is a value chain, the whole of package value chain. Okay, production
Yes.
is centered by agriculture. There is trade, so that's why government comes the top. Parliament and the Minister of Finance is the one who signs investment on behalf of government. But they have all information from Minister of Trade. That's what to do with trade. They have to there's investment. They have to do agriculture. So there is no controversy, and the minister was not in a position to explain that, because he's controlling production. What about the other story of marketing and industry? So you see, there is, it is a commodity that aggregates the whole economy anyway. I can say. So I think the best position, the best position was Minister of Finance, but that's his role in terms of investment and signing contracts for government. But implementation is done at different levels. Investment authority, Minister of Trade has issues, agriculture has issues to do the production and all that and extension. So that is what the coffee industry is.
All right. So if I'm a farmer, what should I expect with such a deal, a multi-billion coffee deal? Because there have been those who have been concerned. If I'm a farmer, and then a coffee farmer, or if I'm an exporter, what should I expect from such a concession deal?
Actually, if you don't know, the people who benefit much more in this value chain development are middlemen. Because farmers are a big percentage, like 80%. Zero kiboko. This kiboko is the unprocessed coffee.
Yes.
So you can't say this bean has got this grade, okay? So the farmer gets what is the conventional price. So that's how the farmer, in terms of value chain development, along another stage, they are traders, middlemen. These are the ones who buy from farmers. But their market signals where farmers negotiate for. Because the UCP has got indicative price, they indicate farmers on the phone that today, this week, the price is this one. That's what the farmer gets negotiates. So the farmer at this level cannot know the grade of his coffee. Apart from organized farmers like New Cafe, which can on board and Kaweri Coffee, where they can put farmers together and they grade their coffee. So they are trying to introduce that one for farmers to know, to be paid according to grading. So our farmers majority are not organized. But in terms of value addition, the beneficiary here would be the investor. Because you know the cap, a kilo can go up to $20 of roasted coffee, of Insta coffee. So, but the farmer is getting what you call conventional coffee. Now, what is exported is already at export level. They have graded, that's why they actually benefit. So that's how the situation is. The middlemen, the processors also have got their margin. So that's the issue. But in terms of benefit to the government, of course, we are talking about if this Insta coffee, the 6,000 metric tons can be exported, it can be like $10 or 15. Yeah, it would be a very good revenue for the country and all that. And there's create employment and all that. That's how the coffee value chain is. The winners actually are the middlemen. The losers are farmers coming with the margin. Although the farmers now are currently getting the good price compared to international export price, farmers are getting 75% if you convert in clean terms. So the other is shared by the middlemen and exporters. So that's how the value chain of coffee is.
Okay, you are still watching Acfim Talks. We're going to take a short break. And when we return, we'll be able to open up the lines, send in your questions and comments, and then be able to respond to them. But as of now, we'll take a short break, then we'll return in a short while.
How many minutes?
It's a break of about 2 minutes.
Okay.
Hey,
Why are you running?
that sounds so crap.
When are you leaving my house?
I think you just give me 1 month. Huh? Just 1 month. I strategize and when I'm able to relocate my family.
Right. I have given you more than enough time. So your problem is relocating your family.
No, I need to relocate them, but also, of course, more time.
That
The
can
idea
be-
is
that can
give
be
me more
handled.
time.
That should be enough to settle you down.
Anyway, thank you.
What is he doing in my home?
I own this place now. Madam, you have 3 days to vacate.
What is the meaning of this, Nathan?
I'm sorry, Beatrice. I've sold this house.
Without my consent? I'll fight this madness.
No, Beatrice, please. Beatrice, please, Beatrice. That man is very connected. He's very powerful. Please don't. Let's not go there. Besides, he has given me a check. We can start from here. We can really start from here.
But why? Why would you do such a thing?
Beatrice, I had politics, campaigns. I needed a lot of money to remain in the race.
You borrowed money from this money lender to run campaigns? Didn't I warn you from taking such a move?
We are unnecessary evil.
This doesn't concern you.
But I needed to save our parliamentary seat.
But you still lost. However much we invested.
Let's start from there.
We are worthy 5 million? Only?
Hey, Beatrice, Mana. In politics, you fall and rise. You can lose an election.
So you believe you will rise again?
Yes, I can win again and become a parliamentarian and put my life back together. Would you write another one? Hey, Beatrice! Please, Beatrice! Please don't leave me.
Leaders like these are highly susceptible for political corruption and will not be service delivery oriented.
Contribute today at www.politicalfinanceafrica.org/donate.
You're still watching Acfim Talks, and we are discussing the politics of coffee trade in Uganda. Who are the winners, who are the losers? And I'm still, before we took a break, we are still trying to understand where this leaves the ordinary coffee farmer. And with me, I have Dr. Ezra Munyambonera. I was supposed to have Dr. Abed Bwanika, but probably couldn't join in. Probably some other time we shall be able to host Dr. Abed, because he has passionately been at the forefront of this fight. He is opposing everything around this multi-billion dollar deal. So we hope at some point we shall be able to host him and share his perspectives, because he thinks there's everything wrong about it. Alternatively, on the other hand, Dr. Ezra Munyambonera is according to his submission, he thinks that there's nothing wrong with the deal. It's all about probably more information should be provided for people to understand the nitty-gritties of the deal. Doctor, it's good to have you back. Now, I have a very interesting question here, which I thought I would throw to you, because I was reading somewhere in the newspapers, I think some time back, we've seen the same company, which is a beneficiary of this concession. I think at some point it supported NRM in 2016 elections. 3 years later, we see the company being awarded the Lubowa Specialized Hospital contract. Now we see it having a very generous concession coffee deal. If I'm a Ugandan who tries to connect dots, am I wrong to suspect that this could be a quid pro quo arrangement where, okay, yes, you're an investor, but somehow you're an investor benefiting from from the state, from a regime that you once supported?
You want my view?
Yes, it's just your fair view.
No, I told you I'm not a politician. I am academic, and I have concentrated on what I understand better. And I have given you what I think you need to understand. And then the political economy, politics also works with the economics. Politicians drive the economy.
Yes.
Yeah, that's why they're providing incentives, because that is agreed by our government policy in terms of investment promotion. So there's no controversy here. So the politics is not. I think that is also, if there were no what you call the direction from government and expectations from these investors, then we'd say it's politics. They are going to invest their money, probably the way the way they get their money, how they invest it. But to me, it's more of development, investment than politics.
Okay, fair enough. And I like the fact that you called it a political economy, because either way, politics drives the economy at some point. So it's if I'm the party in power and I have ambitions, and I rely with people who will help me achieve those ambitions as a party in power. Fair enough. Our platforms are open for any questions or comments that we would be very glad for Doctor to respond to or handle. Now, speaking economics, when we look at the incentives that have been provided to the company that is a beneficiary of the deal, doesn't this somehow, well, granted that it's important to incentivize and you attract investment in the country, but aren't these incentives too much to the extent of Ugandans losing out on the taxation? Because if almost every possible tax that is applicable for now is not going to be subjected to the company, aren't we really losing out so much in terms of raising our tax base, increasing our tax base?
There are two things you must know, that when the investment strategy was and promoting of investment in the country was being crafted and formulated, the government or the policymakers looked at that, both in medium and longer term. So what the government could offer best is to offer generous incentives. You know, Uganda is a landlocked country. You don't provide generous incentives, the investors stop elsewhere in Kenya, Tanzania. So all of these were, and the longer term, the opportunity cost analysis was done, benefit cost analysis was done. So I think that it's about the implementation, okay? The life cycle of these projects. And the implementation means that for some investors, the car have come as what briefcase investors. Some have gotten out by even getting land. But you see the stick recently by Uganda Investment Authority, they are trying to make sure that we have actual investors who can utilize this land and the generous infrastructure and the services like electricity. You saw it happening. Because it can happen depending on how somebody has come in. But I think that there is now accountability. People must account. You are an investor 10 years, you have not said anything. So that issue is about implementation, not necessarily the government politics. No, it's about implementation, and that comes to the Minister of Finance provides that this happens.
Okay. We have about enough time for about two questions, and my other question in line to the above is around whereas you've explained that this is not necessarily a position, a situation of monopoly, but somehow my question may probably lead to that. For example, if many people have been trying to understand with such a deal that this company is going to enjoy, what exactly is government trying to cure? Is it, especially when it comes to coffee trade in Uganda, that hasn't been addressed by other, and that all that can give comfort to Ugandans that probably this is in good interest? Because I think you've had some of the voices coming out to say, okay, why not apply the same to other sectors, probably like milk and dairy production. Why coffee? So help someone out there who still has misgivings that this is good enough. This is what actually is being addressed by, for example, targeting coffee, the second export earner in the country.
Yeah, thank you. What we should know is that the best case scenario for Uganda would be to have all this coffee roasted underground and sold as roasted coffee. Because the price I told you from 1 kilo can be $20, $10, $15.
Yes.
That would be the best case scenario.
Okay. Okay. I think I've lost Doctor again due to connection, but I trust you'll be able to join again. Okay. As Doctor. Okay, Doctor is back.
I'm on.
Yeah, you're back.
So the issue that the best case scenario would be to actually roast coffee and export it as roasted coffee. But internationally, the coffee market, especially roasting, blending, is a monopoly cartel of the trade houses. You can't penetrate that market, and it's done out there, New York and London and Europe. That's why you hear that even Germany is one of the exporters of coffee. Why are they getting the coffee from? Those are fundamentals that cannot change by any pressure because they're already there. In producing countries, unless you have domestic market, like say Brazil produces 48 million bags, but they consume 50%. Actually, they're projecting to consume a month 70 or 48 million bags. The same case like Ethiopia. But Uganda, our consumption is about 5%, 4%, of 7 million bags. So now where it is now, the max comparative advantage you have for now, before we get that level of manufacture and roasting the coffee, is export maximization of volumes, which Uganda has addressed by supporting planting program, moving from 2 million bags in 2001. Now we have 7 projections at 12 million bags, where you can easily get like 3 trillion above all that. So for the medium term, the comparative advantage you have is, and the export business for exporters, and majority are foreign based. We have about 27 exporters, but 70% is in the hands of the foreign based exporters, who are agencies, who trade houses. So their role is to maximize volumes because they maximize profits by blending. Now,
Yes.
here comes, we want to roast coffee underground. First, will be domestic market. Now, if the domestic market is narrow, and the regional market actual consumption is also narrow, apart from South Africa, which can consume up to 29% of total African coffee, the rest they have to export. Okay? And some coffees which got specialty market might not be around 10% or that. So the bulk of the coffee in Africa is exported as processed, as a green bean. Now, very addition started longer time ago, initially Tanzania, they have what? Africa, what? We ask ourselves why this has not grown. When you see the volumes of these coffees from Kenya, it's a pin, although the coffee is not so. Come here. Now, unless my confidence is that if this investor has got already their market niches, that this coffee, roasted coffee from Uganda, will go as branded Uganda coffee to where it is going, then it will be very good for Uganda. But the issue now, the dynamics of this manufacture ground roasting coffee here, it didn't start today. There was an attempt by Tata that's when I was in UCDA. In 2002, they came with a lot of ambitions and expectations, all that. But along the way, they shied away because of the fundamentals. Where will this coffee be exported? If the domestic market is narrow, regional market is narrow. So it may come the same thinking, but that is how the coffee dynamics, the coffee industry works globally. It's not only Uganda, no. We are producing countries, Colombia, which is about over 20 million bucks, Vietnam. So all of those are the dynamics that Uganda is part of that, what you call that confusion. That's a dynamic, and they have to be part of that. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Ezra. It's top of the hour. We should ideally be coming to the end of today's episode of Acfim Talks. So I'll just borrow an extra 1 minute to allow Doctor to have his parting shots as we come to the close of today's discussion.
Well, to me, I'm proud to have been part of the transformation of this coffee industry. 18 years were not, but I was behind the cookie. There was problems in the coffee sector right away. 2000, coffee root disease. We organized a team. We started a planting program. I'm happy that now the coffee industry can be talking about 7 million bags production, projected 12 million bags. And I still, of course, in my research, I always take coffee as one of the commodities I should pay attention to in terms of policy analysis. On top of the coffee, then have tea and the cocoa industry. Those are commodities I have attached interest to the policy analysis. From the wider issues, things I do, but that's my focus when I'm trying to provide policy advice to government.
Okay, thank you so much. That is Dr. Ezra Munyambonera, who is a coffee policy and environment consultant. He has worked with Uganda Coffee Development Authority for 18 years as coffee industry socio-economist. He also worked with Economic Policy Research Center as a senior research fellow, and is currently a senior lecturer of economics at Kabale Republic University and an independent economic development consultant. It's been good to have you to give more light on this discussion. And my name is Felix. Kafuma was moderating today's show, Acfim Talks. We were discussing the politics of coffee trade in Uganda. Who are the winners, who are the losers. We were supposed to have Dr. Abed Bwanika. We somehow failed to get him on call, but we promise we shall have another edition when we have Dr. Abed Bwanika to throw his perspectives. Again, thank you so much for being part of this conversation, and I wish you a very good weekend. Enjoy your Easter break, and bye-bye. See you next week. God bless.